So about the previous episode, I said that there would be an announcement. Well, I didn't get around to that, but I've decided to do an announcement here. Basically, during the summer, I've been reading a very interesting fanfic. It's called Justice Tunes. For comic book fans, some of you may remember that there was a crossover in the beginning of the 2000s decade, which is named Superman and Bugs Bunny. It involved, by that title alone, and I'm not making this up for those who aren't sure about it, it is a crossover between the Looney Tunes and the Justice League. It's 4 issues long, and I've read that on an online comic website, and I quite enjoyed it. Looney Tunes was my favorite cartoon growing up, and given how much of a superhero fan I am, I also like the Justice League. So, this new fic, Justice Tunes, is what I've also read after that. It's currently ongoing, and it's quite an interesting story. When I'm finished with Black Star, I'll probably do a Let's Read of that, if you guys are interested in me doing that. I may also do Let's Watch on some Looney Tunes cartoons, like the originals, not the new ones that are currently streaming on HBO Max. Well, it all depends what you guys really want from me when it comes to content. I know that my recent videos haven't really... My Let's Watch Kamen Rider Revice transformation hasn't really reached the number of views that my 01 video has. And, well, I don't know. It's up to you guys and ultimately what I want to do. It's ultimately up to you guys and me what I should do with this series going forward. So, what I'll do is, when I'm finished with this whole series, I'll Let's Read Justice Tunes, and, I'll have to think about what I can do with X Recorder to, spice all this up for the next Let's Read. Since this one... I've noticed that I've gotten less views on this compared to Empathy and Journey of a Lifetime. So, whatever you guys want, I'll see what I can do about it. But for now, let's try and wrap this up before the end of the year. This is Black Star, Chapter 13. I wonder what Hasso Toby is going to throw at me again. Let's see. Hey, hi, hello, morning. I just got out of bed and I guess we figured out the last keyword. What the actual Ryuji, classes start in 15 minutes. Why are you just waking up now? Ouch. Busted. So I overslept a little. NBD. Who even cares? This is like the best possible day to play hooky anyway. The world will not end within the next 8 hours, Ryuji. Probably. See, even you admit it. I did no such thing. Either way, truancy officers still exist last I checked, and if any of you ran into one, then that would be far more damaging to our plans. We also need confirmation from Akechi before we make a move. For my part, I believe that he will answer in the affirmative. He was quite confident last night, and he does not strike me as the type to act rashly in this matter, except when it comes to insisting upon his own premature incarceration. No doubt Futaba will give us a definite answer when she next makes contact with him, but in the meantime I recommend that we all make necessary preparations today. Leave the equipment to me. I had a very nice chat with Mr. EY over the phone yesterday, and it turns out he can have a selection of our usual armaments discreetly shipped to LeBlanc this afternoon. No need to smuggle anything ourselves. I'll foot the bill, naturally. Ah, life-giving water. Nectar of the gods. I also need to stop by his store to pick up a special order. I want to bring him something nice. Maybe some gourmet lollipops? Oh, are those a thing? Those are absolutely a thing. Hooray! I have a few things to do this morning, but I'll have everything ready by the time school gets out. See you all then. Haru Kumura is now offline, and she's going to burn the whole world down. So am I the only one who's kinda scared that Haru and EY are BFFs? Sakamoto, school, now. Fine. I've got a thing to do after, so I'll be a little late coming to LeBlanc anyway. Time to stick a toothbrush in my face. Ryuji Sakamoto is now offline. Yep, Makoto is the team mother. Yusuke, are you all set? Naturally. Is this about what you and Futaba were discussing last night? I'm surprised you haven't figured it out by now, Makoto. We've got a target. We're invading a palace. Time to send a calling card. What? Futaba pulled up a layout of St. Luke's and the location of Shimizu's hospital room. We intend to deliver the card there. But he's comatose. The card needs to actually be comprehended by the target to affect their cognition. Not to mention that the hospital will probably be locked down tight. They're barely accepting patients anymore, let alone visitors. Dr. Takemi said that the paranoia syndrome victims are all way more aware of their surroundings than normal coma patients. So maybe that goes for Shimizu too. We're hoping that he'll understand what we're doing even if he's not awake. Like, you ever start dreaming about a car alarm and then you wake up and find out it was just your alarm clock going off? Same idea. As for infiltrating the hospital, Ann has a strategy of her own. I personally am dubious as to its chances of success, but it is worth a try. Excuse you? Even if we fail, we will likely just be escorted from the hospital, though I suppose there is a chance the authorities could be involved. However, I believe it is a necessary risk. Given the nature of this mission, it is vital that we take every measure possible to ensure our success. Shimizu is holding Akira hostage. He will strike us with everything he has the moment we arrive. We should let him know that we intend to do the same. It sounds like you've given it enough thought at least. I'll leave it in your hands. We'll almost be the last ones at LeBlanc. This'll take some prep on my end. Hopefully we'll be in before sundown, though. Wish us luck. I make my own luck. On luck to Kamiki. Or Lucky Panther. Lucky Cat. That popping sound from earlier was my new water bottle. I'm drinking water from it as I'm recording so I don't dehydrate myself by talking and reading. St. Luke's was a sprawling multi-tiered campus with buildings the color of old plastic. The hospital from above looked a bit like an arrow with the point sheared off, but at street level all that could be seen were sharp-edged and angular walls ridged with windows like the notches on a cheese grater. The area around the entrance was less mobbed than Yusuke had expected, but there were definitely large clusters of people standing about nervously like petitioners with phones to their ears, consulting with relatives before they braved the chaos inside. Through the front entrance and the windows, Yusuke glimpsed movement that reminded him of a snow globe. Give it a shake and watch the frenzy. He stood beneath a dead and leafless tree beside the chrome menagerie of bicycle racks, the metal somehow overbright in the afternoon sun, oppressive as a shouted curse. His school uniform and placid stare drew no attention from the crowds. They had other things on their minds. As he predicted, Futaba had gotten in touch with them all later that morning and relayed a message from Akechi. He was confident in his last keyword. And he doesn't want to hear the word pancakes again for a long, long time. Haru cheerfully went about preparing to have their tools of destruction shipped to an ever-wearier Sojiro's cafe. Did she buy a copy of Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction, or is she talking about the weapons? Yeah, I know she's talking about the weapons. I was kidding. Ryuji slunk away to some unknown errand in Akihabara that he seemed reluctant to explain further. It could have something to do with the shoe shop that he visited in a cutscene in the original game. That just left Yusuke and An. His phone rang and he put it to his ear. "I'm on my way," said An. "Just got off the train." "I am awaiting your arrival now." "Good. Just like we said. Follow behind me and don't look around or talk. We've got to just march on through." "May I ask how exactly you determined this would work?" "I saw it on TV." She delivered this explanation with an unsettling degree of confidence. "And I am a model, after all. There's a lot of power in the way you walk. If we don't get lost and don't break our stride, we should squeak through." "I suppose I will have to leave it to you." Yusuke looked up at the 4th-floor windows. Up there was the ICU ward and Seki Shimizu's room. "Something has been bothering me, however." "The room, right?" "Correct. Why has he not been moved to the general population?" "It's been months, and his condition, if Akechi's theory is correct, should be even more stable than that of the other paranoia syndrome patients. One would think that he would be transferred so that the equipment could be used by someone in greater need of it." "I'm not sure either. Shiho was moved out of intensive care after just a couple weeks. Maybe he's in worse shape than we thought?" "Perhaps. Or his transfer was lost in the chaos created by the rush of new patients. Either way, it does us a little good to speculate now." He patted his back pocket. "The card is prepared. Though I am curious why you wished for me to accompany you in the first place. It sounds as though I have little to contribute besides the card itself." "You're from his school. It's a decent alibi. Plus, you're good moral support. You're unshakable, Yusuke. You're my rock." "I see." "Say it. Say you're my rock." "I am your rock." "Louder! With confidence!" There are people about on." "Oh, right. Never mind. Train's stopping anyway, so I'll be there in 5. Keep an eye out." "Understood." Yusuke hung up and continued to wait. The icy November air nipped at him through his thin clothes, but he paid it no mind. "Nothing lasts forever in the cold November rain." Remember that? Guns N' Roses song, November Rain. I first heard it in a Rain Man 2 video, AMV. He watched the sun's reflection in one of those recessed windows. The way the light haloed around it, as if painted atop the canvas of the sky. He resisted the urge to frame the sight. The familiar gesture was marvelous for his composition and memory, but it also tended to make people stare. He didn't even notice the crisp clack-clack of heels coming up behind him. "Let's go." He turned. "I beg your pardon, miss, but I believe you have the wrong—" He almost choked. Even with the blonde hair, he'd barely recognized her. An had traded out her usual attire for a sober burgundy blazer, knee-length skirt, and sensible heels. She wore tinted sunglasses that muffled the blue of her eyes, and her hair was tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail draped over one shoulder. All of this, plus the clipboard tucked under her arm and her stern and unsmiling mien, had changed her appearance from that of a bubbly high school student to a particularly fearsome bureaucrat. The kind that some hapless salaryman might be forced to confront after sliding one middle manager too many. Wow. Remember the plan. Front door, please. Even her voice had changed. She'd sanded it down to a harsh and unamused monotone. She headed for the hospital entrance without another word, her short and sprightly stride clicking her footsteps staccato on the pavement. Yusuke fell in line and tried to bury his shock. That shock came to the surface again when they entered the hospital proper. The transformation was startling. From the outside it looked crowded, but manageable. But on the inside it was like a hellish cross between a funeral and a department store on Christmas Eve. Every seat in the lobby was taken. So was much of the floor. Parents clutching children, elderly fighting for space. People bent over their phones like compasses hoping for some advice that could help them navigate the snarl of humanity choking the front desk. What staff could be seen looked ready to splinter, their veneer of polite helpfulness sanded down to bare wood as they fought to soothe the endless procession of people either fighting to see patients interred in the hospital or begging for a moment with the doctors themselves. Several people had their eyes closed and appeared heedless to the chaos. Yusuke dearly hoped that they were just asleep. The pleas and shouted recriminations and rescheduled plans and lashings of rumor bled into one another until it all became white noise, a sea of mindless sound through which Ann waded. Her bespectacled glare and unflinching footsteps nearly cutting a path around every sprawled body or harried nurse. Yusuke followed as she slipped right past the front desk and into the hospital corridors. The hallways themselves weren't much better. The staff rushing around were bug-eyed, tight-lipped, staring at nothing, all of them on their way to put out a dozen different metaphorical fires before they became literal ones. They passed by a gathering of several orderlies and nurses that had cornered a single smooth-pated doctor whose eyes swam behind his thick spectacles. All of them brandished files, and for a moment the doctor looked ready to claw his way out of that mob and beg Yusuke for aid. St. Luke's patient rooms were all private ones. Several doors they passed were ajar. Every bed was filled. Every occupant was limp and silent. The chaotic rhythm of their heart monitors was like water torture. Pardon me? Cliffhanger time.